this is the #1 Potato Boss, coming at you another MogPod Gaming set review, this one all about Lightning. With me here today is Kevin.
Hello.
Chris.
Hiya. And
a very special guest. You all know him as Cosmic from the Six Sages Gaming YouTube channel, Matt Cosmer.
Hey everybody, and thanks to the MogPod crew for hosting me tonight. It's very late, but I'm excited to talk about some lightning cards.
It's great to have you.
Yeah, we're really glad that you agreed to join us, and it's gonna be lots of fun.
So our rating system is a 5-star rating system for the base of the card, which means how good it is if you're only considering the card and not particularly any synergies or trying to maximize the effects of the card. Just how much weight does it pull on its own. So a 5 is a card that is like almost a staple, basically. It's like if you are in a deck that can support it, then you have to ask yourself why you're not running it if you're not. 4 is a powerful card that could get cut. I mean, there's loads of these in the game. These are just all the cards that show up in tournaments most of the time, because not very many things actually do get to 5. And then a 3 is where cards, these are cards where you're probably in a niche territory now. They can be quite powerful in that niche, but you're not
pretty
really
average.
Bothered. Yeah,
Pretty
if they're
average.
not in your deck probably. And then the only difference between a 1 and a 2, they're both unplayable, but a 2, if you draw it, at least it'll have some impact in the game. Whereas a 1 is just never going to do anything for you. So 1 and 5 are about as hard as each other to get that score. In addition, we have a synergy rating of +0, +1, and +2, and that modifies a card's score. We give synergy points based on how good the card is now that you have built around it, when it's got synergy with other cards. And so a card could be a 3, like a niche, not very playable, but then it could get +2, for example, and be almost an auto-include in a specific style of deck.
So the first card, Kevin, do you want us to start us off?
Okay, so this is a card name very dear to my heart. It is Red Mage. It's a 2-cost lightning backup, and its ability is 2 generic, so the 2 any CP, dull, choose 1 forward, deal it 1000 damage. If it is active, deal it 2000 damage instead. So looking at this card, it just begs the comparison with the Ninja backup that's already in Lightning, and to me it just seems worse, even though you can splash it in another element.
Really? I would think it's better.
Really? Just because it doesn't cost Lightning?
Yeah, you can put any different CPs and any card from your hand, pretty much.
Okay, but I mean,
and it's Red Mage, which is relevant.
Almost a relevant card name.
What do you reckon, Matt?
It's going to be getting a very low rating from me. It's probably be something like a 2 on it, and then hey, if Red Mage Tribal comes around, I'll be looking at it then.
Yeah, makes sense.
Very good analysis, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot weaker than a lot of the 2 drops we're getting this year.
Yeah, just a 2+0. I think everyone agrees with that. Yeah. Next card. Actually, I want to talk about this card. I really like this card. Is a 2-drop assassin forward standard unit from Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. It has haste. And when assassin attacks, choose 1 forward of cost 2 or less, tell it. I'm not saying this is gonna break the meta or anything like that, but I just like that effect. Like it's just cool to have it on this forward. And
I didn't know you were a goal-based player, Murat.
It's I really like that pre-release. It was really
really
pre-release, yeah.
Okay.
But still, like it's a cute effect.
Yeah, it can clear your way for your other small guys if you're playing like an evasive deck, and since Wind got cards, Spy Sicilian specifically, that makes your forwards unable to be blocked by cards that cost more. This will essentially just get rid of a blocker in that kind of deck, so maybe Wind Lightning unblockable?
Well, a lot of the tattoo cards...
Tactics Advance 2.
They're in... they've got Lightning. Like a hasty sort of archetype going on in Wind and Lightning.
Yeah, it would fit in there, yeah.
With the Searcher, the thing that looks at the top 5, puts one in. I don't know, maybe you could play it in...
Yeah, you maybe play it in that one, yeah. Matt, what do you think?
I do like that it's a FFTA too, as we've kind of mentioned. It has that going for it, and it's certainly a category that needed support. I mean, exclusively got its support in this set, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct,
For stat-wise, it's extremely underwhelming to me. I'm a Golbez player at heart, so I'm always thinking of like, hey, we got another haste guy at least. And maybe you can make the argument where you keep it as a one of just so you can tutor it up off of Golbez and get that effect off of it. But this is still another card that it's very hard to find the spot for based on some of the other cards we want to be playing anyways, and it's only a 2,000 power. So you have to just accept the fact that it might as well be a 1,000 power at that point. Because even if you have the backup to give it plus 1,000 power, you're going to still make the argument that it's going to die to a Cyclops or various very cheap ping-based effects. So
That's
nice
true,
that we have another haster, but and nice that it's Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. Gotta give it that. But just another card that feels underwhelming for how powerful Lightning has been in previous sets, and I think it's still going to be very powerful going into the Opus 5 meta.
Yeah, definitely not the best haste forward Lightning guides.
Exactly.
Definitely, but I kind of like the little cheeky thing with like Yuffie and like Zidane, where like those ones, will be blocked by 2 costs, but then you attack with this one first and nullify those blockers.
But then this gets blocked by like the 4 cost or whatever.
This one doesn't
it's
actually
worth
have
it though.
evasion.
It's probably worth it at that point.
So this goes in a very specific day, but otherwise it's not too good.
Okay, so still another 2+0?
2+1.
2+1, you give what would the synergy be?
Spy Sicilian.
It really helps you push through any if you are playing an unblockables deck, and they like they can take games off meta decks at times.
I really want to make this cute deck that has Spy Sicilian and this card.
So would you all be happy with what 2+1?
That's probably fair. I'm very hard set on a 2 personally, but I can't agree where that 1 or 2 cheeky deck that you're going to play primarily at locals can certainly get there.
Yeah.
Okay. Next card. Chris, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So this one's Allure. It's a 3-drop Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 card. 6,000 power forward with haste. During each turn, when Allure is chosen by your opponent's summon ability for the first time in that turn, cancel its effect. And she has a special Sheol. It's just S, so just discard an Allure. Activate all the forwards you control. They gain haste until the end of the turn. All the forwards opponent controls lose 2,000 power until the end of the turn.
It's a pretty strong S.
That is a pretty strong S.
Strong, like, Alpha Strikey style.
Yeah. Although, like, honestly, you're probably not going to be able to haste too many things.
That's right,
It's
yeah.
just going to be... You're just casting a really cheap Cyclops.
That's what people are overlooking most of the time when looking at that, is that like 1 or 2 haste guys.
It's going to be difficult to play that many forwards.
Because Allure is already haste, so she's not going to give haste to herself.
Although the really cheap Cyclops is pretty nice, and randomly hates on ice on their turn when they try to Zalora you or something.
Yeah, it does. Just random hate. There's quite a few cards though that have just like random hates.
But there's also all these Warriors of Light that dull your stuff. But there's not in Lightning.
Oh yeah.
Actually, now
That's
I'm thinking about
true.
it again.
Yeah.
There isn't a Lightning one.
I think it's also worth mentioning. I mean, let's appreciate the fact that, again, we know how prevalent ice is going to be in this next meta. I don't think anyone's going to argue that point, but it's activating all forwards you control, and it's not limited to your turn. So this can also be a surprise block and mini Cyclops, if you will, on the defense. So you can feel free to swing out and always leave this up. This card reminds me a lot of the Oracle plays that the Wind Water decks would leave up. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to swing out, or maybe I play a Bart's after, but you have to make me use this Oracle activation. And chances are, if I'm using the Oracle activation, it's still going to be favorable for me.
Yeah.
So I think this card is absolutely nuts. The downside is that it's a 3-drop, and 3-drops are very tough spot in Lightning, I feel, right now. But I can absolutely see this card seeing play coming into this next set.
It also has like inbuilt protection.
Yeah.
It's like just.
Oh yeah, which is nuts. Just nuts.
Yeah, it's like you didn't need that.
It's a searchable category.
Yeah, in the same element.
Yeah. You have a Lightning Set, and Luso can get it as well. So you can get the S off pretty consistently. It's just overall pretty strong.
I feel like, the parts probably aren't there to all... Like, they can all go together, but I don't feel like they're there to go together. It's there to just so that it's so flexible. Like, whichever...
So I would say, what,
Whichever
4+0?
Yeah.
Because it's not an all.
Yeah, it's powerful, and so there's there's no special thing I'm considering to make it more powerful.
Seems fair, Matt?
Yep, solid 4 for me as well.
Okay. Next card. Matt, do you want to do us the favors?
Sure, absolutely. So we have a 3-cost Odin. So Odin Tribal going very strong so far. Select one of the 2 following. Choose a forward or monster, cost 3 or less, and break it. It's basically how that should have been worded. But
It should, right? Yeah, it's weird.
I think that this card... Well, let me back up really quick. Can we appreciate that this is the best looking Odin in the game so far, and that all the Mobius artwork is absolutely insane.
It is.
This guy also looks amazing in foil.
Yeah.
The Phoenix in foil I saw on Facebook.
I need to see that.
The Phoenix is a bit disappointing,
yeah.
But the Odin, I pulled one in pre-release. It's really nice. Going back to the effect though.
Yep.
You're gonna say something?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this card because I am a control player for Magic traditionally, so anytime that there's modes on any cards, I am in Christmas magical land for me. Having so many summons in this set that are multi-mode was simply a dream. Not to be missed that there are several boss monsters, so that's worth noting as well. So it's not going to hit all of those relevant ones that we would like for it to hit, but I definitely think monsters are going to be seeing more play coming into this meta. Not only that, Lightning has always had struggled with Ash, and you had to play your Seymour back up to clear it. And Odin gives you another way to clear out Ash or clear out those cards like Ash that you can't ping them to get them away. So I think Odin opens up some versatility, and I think if you're playing Mono Lightning, it's something that you're absolutely putting in the deck. But there's so many good summons that we got this set.
It sort of deals with that.
It's funny that you mentioned Ash actually, because Ash actually got a backup that protects her from exactly this type of effect. But yeah, this is just another Odin, I think. And
what was the name of the backup?
Lassler, I think.
Lassler. Yeah, you know about that, Matt? I'm sure you do.
I probably have missed. I haven't had the biggest chance to go over all the spoilers, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
it's part of the starter deck.
Yeah,
it's just a 2-drop water backup that says Ash cannot be broken
by summons or abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good deal.
Yeah.
So this makes Ash so much better, but like, it still is potentially a.
I think the most important part is the multimodal, because like currently, if a Lightning wants to deal with monsters, they have to put in Dragon or Odin.
Or Ramu.
Ramu, sorry. And Dragon got shut down by Emperor, which was a big problem. And the fact that this one just can kill forwards as well while being
doesn't
monsters.
hit the Emperor though.
That's his main problem.
This is my biggest issue with it.
Like everything else is so great about it, but it's like now you're gonna have to put other answers in your deck.
Normally,
other than
my removal is gonna be like on abilities or something very like pretty efficient, and then I'll only put 4-drop Odin in just so I can answer the things that stop me using my efficient removal. That's how I see it. And then I see this Odin doesn't hit one of the big things stopping me using my more efficient removal, and so that's why I don't actually like it that much.
It's
because I could run Dragon for monster removal, which ends up at the same cost of 3 if you're removing a monster, but it can hit 4 or less monsters as well.
Or 4 less forwards.
No, monsters.
Monsters as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You mean like with Twilight Odin and stuff?
But if it's and if you're hitting forwards with Dragon, it's less efficient than Odin if you're hitting a 3-drop or less. But I just like that extra little bit of flexibility there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I like Odin to stop like the Emperor stopping Dragon.
It definitely makes sense, but it's like if you're running that 4-drop Odin, like other than Dragon, are you running Ramu as well? Like,
Ramu?
Yeah. Like are you running that as well?
Yeah.
If you're not running this?
Yeah, this is just in addition to that Odin, I think, to just be able.
But then
to...
I've already got Odin and Dragon, and then it's like what's.
I'd run this
like
over
Cyclops,
Dragon. I'll run this over Dragon. Most of the time. I like that.
Actually, looking at the monsters in the set, there are not that many 3s. It's just Death Gaze in the set, and then joining Malboro and Behemoth in the previous sets. There are a couple of 4s though. One of them you don't want to kill, but which is the Earth one. But there's Twilight, Odin, and Alloy Die from Ice that are pretty decent targets for Dragon that Odin doesn't hit. So maybe.
Yeah, it's in a really weird spot.
It's the 3 or less basic for me.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Do you have anything to comment about that, Matt?
Nope. I think the choice that you're going to ultimately make, I think, is highlighted very well. It's Dragon or Odin at the end of the day. They both have their pros and cons, and I think to your point exactly, being able to hit 4 is why this card, why Odin specifically, is probably not going to see as much play as it should. But let's be honest, if it was able to clear, even if they bumped it up to a 4 cost, if it was able to clear, if it was a strictly better Odin, so to speak, than the Opus 1 version, and it could kill monsters, the rarity probably would have been bumped up. So I understand where it's coming from. But from a rating, I have to agree that's probably going to end up getting a 3. It's a nice middle of the road card that I think is going to be really great in some matchups and just okay in others. It's just going to really depend on what your local meta is looking like. But the argument I always kind of like to keep in the back of my mind is like, if we had sideboards, this is where I would probably include it first off. So it's going to be a 3 for me as well.
Yeah,
completely agree.
It's
a 3-drop that kills 3 drops that gets a 3.
Yeah.
It can't be more perfect than that. Okay, next card. Kevin, do you want to tell us?
Okay, this is the next Odin. It's a 4-cost Twilight Odin monster. It's from category 13, and it's Job Odin, so,
Bats is an Odin.
Yeah, and it reads 1 lightning. Until the end of turn, Twilight Odin also becomes a forward with 7,000 power, and when Twilight Odin deals damage to your opponent, choose 1 forward opponent controls, break it. You can only use this ability once per turn. So it's like a more scary Angel Penance, except it doesn't have haste. But it can kill anything, so it gets around Minwu when you attack.
And it's probably protected on your turn.
Yeah, because
most of the time.
It's not vulnerable to as much main phase ability removal due to it being a monster.
I'm curious what you think about this, Matt, before we go into our opinions.
Sure. I think it's a great card that when you can get off the effect, it's obviously going to be good, but I think it's extremely limited in the types of decks that you're going to be playing. I think to make an assumption here, I think we can all agree that it's going to be absolutely insane in some decks like Lightning Ice, where you can focus on that dull package, or you just have great cards like Genesis, and then you can animate this and break something. Decks outside of that, however, that have problem either efficiently removing your opponent's forwards or dulling them otherwise, so imagining this basically out of Ice, it's certainly not going to be as good. You can make an argument that you could play it in like a Earth Lightning deck that would be like, oh, I'm going to go all in on what was the new spell, Carbuncle or whatever it is, and Golems and stuff like that. So they're thinking that they're going to block it, and you're going to blow them out in some combat trick. But outside of those 2 instances, as much as I love all the boss monsters and how good they seem to be, I haven't been too impressed or too, I'm not going to give it a 5 effectively. I think it's really great in some of those decks as well, but I think it's going to be a 3+1 for me. I think there's some decks that are absolutely going to want to see it in those Lightning Ice type variants, but otherwise it's just kind of middle of the road. You might not even play it type of situations.
I've been amazed so far at how much I exactly agree with you.
I feel like there's nothing else to add.
Decks and everything.
So that's where I'm going to put Twilight Odin.
There's nothing else to add.
Well, no. It's not just Ice, because Wind and Fire got a lot of unblockable set as well. So
and Earth.
Oh yeah, Earth, actually.
Just randomly,
so, actually, yeah,
that's
true. So quite a few.
Landed and cockatrice.
Yeah,
oh, right.
Yeah. So there are quite a few more elements that can go with Twilight Odin now, but yeah, obviously Ice is going to be the superstar.
Yeah, and ideally you don't want to spend a card to make
Twilight
Odin get through.
Yeah.
No, the great thing about Twilight Odin is that like you can just attack with it and be sure as heck that they're gonna block it.
Yeah,
like, whether it's a big forward or whether it's a small forward, they're gonna block it. So if you've got some kind of good combat trick, like that's it.
Mateus the Corrupt.
The other thing I'd like to note about this is similar to Allo Yodai, but even more so, this card is almost searchable in so many different ways. It's called Twilight Odin, but not Odin. It's category 13, but a monster, but it's really a forward. And it's a 4-drop, so as a monster 4-drop, it's really hard to actually get it out of your break zone or anything as well.
Yeah, you kind of devout it. Yeah. And like even the widest searcher, Mobius, can't search for it.
Yeah, I mean you can search for him with Kefka, but at that point, it's a bit clunky.
So 3+1.
Yeah, 3+1 is good. Okay, next card is a 2-drop lightning backup called Scholar. Standard units, Dull, put Scholar into the break zone, choose up to 2 active forwards opponent controls, deal them 3,000 damage. So
this continues the theme of Lightning getting all the fire cards, but one
they
cheaper.
Have to be active.
Yeah, one cheaper and active. This is like what is it? Scholar as well from
It's also
Fire?
Scholar.
Yeah, it's also Scholar from Fire. Oh man.
Yeah, it's literally exactly that. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just a very vanilla card. There's not much to say. I'm not even sure how many decks they would put this in, because
I'm trying to think of lightning things that can capitalize from 2 things being
damaged. You can Alcid one thing, use Scholar, kill that, damage another
Onion
thing. Onion Knight the other thing.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
But does what's it called? Is it Magus? It's got Dull, choose an active forward your opponent controls, do that 4,000 damage, and you break the backup.
Right, yeah, that one.
Yeah, like Does that... See, I haven't actually seen much lightning in our locals. And I haven't
yeah,
looked online,
no locals.
so-
I'm not sure. I've used it in my Orlando deck. Lightning went Orlando.
Okay.
It was pretty good then.
But yeah, lightning doesn't really have much other AoE, so I don't think Scholar will even be as good in lightning as it is in fire.
What are your thoughts, Matt?
This card gets a pass for me in just about every single possible way, except for this really cheeky fire lightning ping deck that you can make. But I think for where it comes in at a 2-drop and for what it does, it's just not going to be worth it in the vast majority of decks. So it's gonna be on the very low end for me.
When you said gets a pass from me, I thought you meant that you were rating it highly. I was
No.
like, oh, I'm interested in this.
Okay, so what? Two?
No. So I don't know. Let's maybe give. I don't want to be too harsh on it, but I want to say like a 1+1.
I was just
think
about
it's
to say
extremely
that's
niche and
yeah, like even if
very
you,
bottom.
even if you draw this and play it, like how impactful is it going to be?
You can outsit on your night 2 things. It's not terrible. You can trade up. You can attack with outsit and onion knight separately.
Okay. You can.
That's not horrible.
Yeah. And should we, if you're in lightning, should we put Alcid in a synergy point? Alcid kind of just comes with lightning.
Yeah. So it's just 2, I guess. I think.
Okay.
I'm okay with 1+1.
I'm also fine not splitting here. So
All right, fine. Yeah. It's
So
not
what
a
is
good
it?
card. I guess we can all agree on that.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
One.
1+1.
Yeah.
1+1.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
next card. Chris, you want to
So this one is Sid of Clan Gully. It's a 3-drop backup. It's for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. It's the Final Fantasy Tactics Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 forward searcher, just your classic searcher. We normally just give these a default searcher rating.
Yeah, just pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually just
It always depends on what they can.
Yeah. This one can find a lure, which we talked about before.
Yeah, it can find Luso.
Can find a thing that can find another thing.
It can't find Mateus.
No.
But it can find a thing that can find Mateus.
Yeah.
But then you're in 3 elements.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Matt?
No, that's about it. I have the same feeling towards generic searchers.
All right, let's move on.
Okay. Next card. Matt, do you want to tell us about it?
No. So Kalia Shival enters the field, search for 1 job, Aikido, Cadet, and add it to your hand. So this is... I'm angry. I'm so angry because, one, the Cadets were already split, which I get from a video game standpoint, but Cadets really needed it. And then it's a 4-drop. Like, just... There's no added bonus. Anytime that we've seen this more specified, or I should say specific tutor effect, there was always like an EX burst or some other condition on it.
Except for Wedge.
This is worse.
It can find a backup.
Yeah.
Which is, I think,
which is the reason, like, why Herdy and Wedge in this one are 4, because it can find a backup. That's their reasoning for it.
I think that's their reasoning too. I don't think it makes it playable, but I think that's
Yeah,
their reasoning.
Yeah. It doesn't make it playable, but that's the whole point about the consistency of your first couple of turns that you're gonna put all these backups down. But like, I do agree with your sentiment, man. I don't.
On about pigs on my jaw all the time.
Just give.
It just
Wedge
hurts,
and
right?
the
Like,
X
we
burst,
wanted
or
so much more for this set and for Cadets. I think it's a kind of a fan favorite, if you will, for
That's right,
just from a theme in general, what you want to see play.
Yeah.
I haven't done a ton of deck building with the different Cadets specifically and seeing what they could come together. I'm going to assume that it was a hard miss for this set, just based on this tutor and what we want to see. So
I'm one of those people who loves the Cadets, and looking through the Cadets in this set was like, maybe I could put in the one that makes a blocking thing get less power.
They're not really impactful at all.
There's really not much, and it's kind of sad because I'm not sure about your local meta, Matt, but we've got a lot of people into the game from the Cadets and how they love playing the Cadets, and then when they're playing against higher tier decks, they just don't do so well, and then they may or may not stay, or they may go. But if they gave the Cadets like a good boost, which I really hope they did, but they didn't. Is it the same thing in your kind of meta? Is like some people that were introduced into the game through the Cadets?
Yeah, I was just going to say I saw exactly that. And even on our channel, there was quite a few comments like, hey, I'm looking for a budget deck. And I mean, you can always get lucky and surely like spike a top 8 and your deck might get up on either Mognet, FFTCG, any of those other, sites that are tracking results. But at the end of the day, it's just not going to be consistent enough or give you enough playability that you have the chance to survive. So it was very discouraging for a lot of players. And we did lose quite a few people, I think, within that first first maybe month and a half. Now the good news is some of them came back, thankfully,
Yeah.
but it made a noticeable impact that was didn't feel great, as you'd imagine.
Just hoping for Opus 6.
Opus 6. But back to this card, it's just a 3-star because it's a normal searcher. Even though I want to give it lower because it's 4, but just generic searcher. Next card, Kevin.
Okay, so this is a 2-cost lightning backup. Agito Cadet from Type 0. Not Class 0 Cadet, very important. It's called Quan, and when Quan enters the field, you may cast 1 summon of cost 2 or less from your hand without paying its cost. Meh.
Like,
That's my reaction.
The timing of it, right?
That's the whole plan. It's a timing that you have to spend this and have the summon in your hand and have value of that summon.
Yeah, what summons are you just going to hard cast in your main phase? Maybe. I think that's...
I'm usually discarding my summons at the start of the game to play my 2-drops.
Yeah, this, especially since this is a backup, you want to get it down like in the early turns where you don't really get much value from summons.
I mean, you
maybe
could cast
you
like a
search for
fairy. Like...
I think the best target may be the 1-drop Leviathan from the new set, because that actually impacts the board somewhat.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I mean, but then
I'm gonna go real.
It's like Scion or something. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I would say I'm gonna go really deep on this one, and we got to give it up to the light Fasoya based decks because let me tell you, you have a lot of filters and you want to be casting those Moogles for free. So the one deck that you might make some argument for this card is for ones that are going to rely on either Poo Poo or the Moogle card to filter through your deck quickly.
Yeah,
I still think it's terrible, but
I
still think it's terrible. I want to make that disclaimer, but and that's about the only type I could see it pulling off.
Yeah, actually, for the Moogles, it's sometimes awkward to pay for them for odd CP in decks like that, because you want to get all your pieces down early. It's sometimes hard to find the odd increments to pay for them, so maybe in that deck, yeah, definitely, I can see that.
Yeah, but I think we'll still give it a 1.
A 1. Absolutely a 1.
Yeah.
1 plus 1? 1 plus 1?
Nope.
Okay.
Hard 1.
All right,
You're not putting in a deck without 2-drops.
Right, it's true. True.
It's like, I don't have any summons, I'm going to play this.
Okay, fair enough.
So, next card is a 2-cost Black Knight monster. Its job is Black Knight. When a forward of your opponent of cost 4 or less enters the field, put Black Knight into the break zone. If you do so, break it. So, I just wanted to say to all the listeners that I really don't like all these effects on monsters that put the decision in your opponent's field, because technically,
well, not even field, it's just their hand. Whether you have any 1-drops to bait this out, have for no value.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that can counter this, right? Because you can still do all sorts of earth removal, or even just play Vincent, and this goes down for free.
I have a funny story about this card, actually, from the pre-release, where I had this card, and my opponent was looking at something, that's so annoying, and then he played the legendary Van. I was like, it's annoying, is it? He had Godot in play as well. And then the next turn I was like, okay, maybe I'll do something, and he was like, it's so annoying, and I discarded and played Talon, the 5-drop Talon.
Yeah, exactly.
And then attack with Van and one of it.
It's like, putting that choice in your opponent's side of the field is just it's not very good. And remember the chapters version of this? We talked about it on one of the podcasts.
When either player plays.
Yeah, it was a 1-cost monster, and either player, any forward gets broken, and this gets broken. So that was so much cooler, even though part of it.
If you're ahead though,
then
and your opponent's under a lot of pressure to play something.
Yeah, so I guess it was a win more card, but this one. Yeah,
I'm talking about this one.
Oh, this one as well.
Yeah, if you're ahead and you're putting the pressure on your opponent to play something, they might just have to do something inefficient.
I do kind of like that. Maybe play this and you play Vayne, because if they're playing 5-drops or more, and then you can.
They stay active.
Yes! Oh, right! I get to talk about my great deck idea.
Do you?
So this is going to be terrible. Please don't do this. But since Lightning and Water now have tons of monster reanimation, you have Gal, you have Urianger now, So you load your deck up with Black Knights, and for every 5 costs, you play the best 5 cost hit card in the game, Guido, to put all of them on the opponent deck, and then just make them have dead draws for the rest of the game.
When you say don't make this deck.
Yeah, I do say don't make this deck.
But you're gonna make it.
But I'm gonna make this deck.
I look forward to this.
We went real deep.
yeah, real deep. Getting back to, like reality here though.
What do you think, Matt?
I want to love this card. I think you highlight a good point where it's a very strong effect for the cost that you get out of it, but it's one of those things that you don't ever want to play it early because they're obviously just going to have all the options under the sun to do it. But in the mid to late game, I think this card is really going to shine, assuming that's not kind of like an even board, so you're able to put that additional pressure on your opponent. So it's one of those things. I really want to play this card, and I really want to find the space for it. I'm not convinced that it's going to be a 3 of in every single deck, but I want to see this as a 2 of, I think, in a lot of the decks that I'm going to be playing in the new meta. Just because, again, I'm a control player at the end of the day. I can, it's basically thinking about that risk analysis and determining when that key turn to play it is. I think this is a card that's going to reward your typical. So I'm a huge fan of Wind Lightning. I just got to say, Heroic Lulu, though not a lot of people love her, I think she's absolutely great. And it's one of those cards that you can shape the game in your favor and set the tempo for it, where there's going to be 1 or 2 turns that can be absolutely backbreaking for your opponent. If you have one, let alone, one Black Knight, it gets broken, you follow it up with another one, and they're going to be so far behind at that point. It has its place. I'm going to give it a 3+1 personally, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this can do in those monster-based decks. I
agree with that sentiment. Like that's also my play style, where you sculpt the game into such a situation where you can make cards good. And I'm going to be playing this at the start of the Opus because I'm always open to being pleasantly surprised as well. Like maybe it is worth. As for ratings, I might actually put it as a 2 as a base though. Yeah. Over a 3.
I think it's 2+1.
The synergy I think could bump it up to 4.
Oh,
like
so
if you are having that mindset that's like the rest of your deck to support.
Especially with Gal. No, actually, I'll give the +2 to Gal.
not just Gal, but like this. It's also like a play style thing. Like setting it up. So
okay,
I
fine.
think a 2+2.
2+2 maybe.
Yeah, we'll just split up that 3+1.
How does that sound?
I guess it's a very important like segmentation.
Definitely. If you play this without thought, it's not going to be very good.
Yeah, and I do love that it rewards the skill side of it. You got to think, what are your opponent's options at this stage in the game? What do they want to play?
And just for any listeners, if you do play the 4-drop instant into this, the Black Knight does get broken. Yeah, so.
Sad face.
Or
Ash.
Or Ash. Oh yeah, even the Ash with that backup.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Okay. Next card, Chris.
So this is Thancred. It's a 4-drop 8k. It's from category 14 because it's a Scion of the 7th Dawn. Actually, the fact it's from 14 meant it's a miracle I could pronounce its name. So it says, if you control a job Scion of the 7th Dawn other than Thancred, Thancred gets +1000 power, and if Thancred receives damage while dull, the damage is reduced by 2000 instead.
So I would imagine that you're only playing the Earth Lightning Scion deck.
Essentially, yeah.
Because it's a nice ability, huh?
Does that have to be Earth?
Yeah.
I don't have too much familiarity with all the Scions.
It doesn't really have to be Earth. I think it definitely really wants the haste because
that's what I'm thinking about.
It's just a big dude without the haste.
The reason why I'm saying Earth, right, is because not only can Minfleet search for him or whatever, right, and the other thing is when he's dull, Hecaton Cure is so much stronger on him.
That's fair
true.
enough.
Yeah, it's like so he's like a 9k, right, and he can Hecaton Cure another 9k and he won't die. So that's why I think that. You're only really putting it in that Earth Lightning deck. And he's very strong, that Earth Lightning deck. You already have the haste, you already have...
I haven't thought about it too much to want to commit to say I'm only putting it in... I mean, Earth isn't my specialty anyway.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I can see this in Mono Lightning, but there are better 4-drops.
Yeah, definitely.
Than this one, if it's just in Mono Lightning.
You really want to make use of all the lines of text if you use them, so, like, including the job Scion of the 7th Dawn, I think.
But getting, like, free haste from the backup. Like if you can justify that backup thanks to other Scions, like this is where me not being familiar with all the Scions is hurting my evaluation of the card, then that's really powerful.
Unfortunately, the other lightning the other Lightning Scion.
Is your anger?
Yeah, it's just 2k guy, so he's not gonna do much with the haste.
Yeah, it's like at this point in time. And besides, Lightning doesn't have Ashmal. So.
Damn it! Can we go one set review without you mentioning Hashmal, Murad?
This thing references a job. Hashmal.
Hashmal is amazing. Ben, what do you think?
I personally love Thancred. I will agree with the sentiment that it's mostly focused on the Scion deck, but that last, or I guess the second sentence, if you will, is automatically the thing that I'm drawn to. The fact that even in Mono Lightning, he's going to be at 9k that you have to deal 11k to, this just becomes a beat stick where Lightning is very efficient with getting your Al Cid plays off, but then you have a couple of 6ks left. And Thancred just doesn't care. He's turning sideways. There might be play for him in the Mono Lightning deck, but again, this is I immediately go to probably something more along the lines of like the Ultimacia control deck from the US Nationals that we had, where it was a very board wipe heavy type of deck, really focused on efficient forwards, and Thancred just gets it out, job done. It was an Earth Lightning based deck. It played Lulus. I played 3 Ultima, believe it or not, and even 3 Shantotos. It was rough. It was rough.
Thancred makes me has that sort of boss monster feel to me.
Does he?
Like just because he's so big and hard to kill.
Well, spoiler alert.
What?
He is a boss monster.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
I just thought I had to pause for the spoilers.
Okay,
One of the biggest betrayals. I felt very sad when that happened.
Because Kevin's done a rough draft of a Scion's Lightning Earth deck at the moment, and when I looked over it, Thancred to me looked like the centerpiece. I don't know if that was intentional, but
no, it wasn't.
that's what it looked like to me.
He is definitely going to be a powerhouse in that deck.
Yeah.
What would we give him? 3+1?
Oh.
Wow.
Because in a non-Scion deck, he's still just a 3. I would reckon. And in a Scion deck, he's a +1.
Is he a 3 in a non-Scion deck? I think he's
bad. I think we can assume.
I think we have to assume that.
I think for the vacuum, rating, we can assume he gets his first line attacks off at least.
3
maybe there's a Scion backup somewhere.
3 plus 0.5?
I think
3+1's fine.
Yeah, I think just the haste would make such a big difference.
Yeah. So next card, Matt, do you want to tell us about this legendary card?
Sure, the legendary letdown of Opus 5. I guess I'll start off with that. 4-cost Zemus, 8,000 power, so at least we got that going for it. But he gets to reanimate a Lightning Forward. So pay X, tap him, choose a Lightning Forward in your break zone, play out on the field, only usable during your main phase. So I want to love this card, and I want to be proven wrong, because one of my favorite decks ever in Magic was Reanimator-based strategy, Burial Rites, and that's absolutely what this card reminded me of. But his effect is so awkward for the timing, for what you're going to get back when you think about Lightning and when you want to use it. I think it's really cute for what it wants to be doing, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be worth your effort to get that effect off. Obviously, from a balancing standpoint, it has to be on your turn only. I would love to be able to block with him and use the effect. I think that would make him legendary and absolutely worth playing in that case. But obviously, our reanimate effects have that clause on them where it has to be on your turn from a balancing standpoint. And because Final Fantasy, in my opinion, is such a tempo-oriented game, and it's ending... It's very fast paced, I guess I should say, by comparison. Magic, you have several turns and several effects where you can get through and plan different parts of the game, where Final Fantasy is more straight to the point, and getting in those 7 points of damage can be over very, very quickly by comparison. So I don't think we have the luxury of Zemus. I would love to play a deck where he's going to see his full potential, and maybe we just need to wait for more Lightning cards to come out where we can use his full potential, but I really don't like it for where it's at right now.
You should say that, the luxury of Zemus, because in this roughly drafted Lightning Earth deck that Kevin made, he had one Zemus in there that he described as a luxury.
I think luxury is...
That's exactly where it is. I'm 100% for putting this card as the one of. I will say that right up. Go ahead. Absolutely do it. But beyond that, it hurts.
The reason why I like this card is because you can run like a critical mass of deal with me now forwards, right? Because like when you play the Zemus down, right, you're kind of essentially telling your opponent, deal with me now or I'm gonna get value, right? Like more or less, because you're gonna get this outfit from the break zone. You can get whatever rig gear from the break zone. That's even valuable, right? It doesn't like it's still good, but like you know, if you have this, you have Emperor, you have these cards. There's like you have to deal with me now, or you are going to lose value. Or I'm gonna gain a lot of value.
Dicer Dags, I think, are a great target for this thing.
That too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you like I hope that the people understand. It's like, this is where I see this card. This card is just a deal with me now. It's very cool and cute, but
if you play enough cards that die to Doomblade, eventually one of them will die, and then you will win the game. So yeah, I think
exactly. So this is going to be like your late game top deck trump card, right?
Yeah.
That's basically what it comes down to. But you have to, one, survive to that late game point, and two, have lightning forwards that are worth bringing back while you have an empty hand.
Yeah,
which can be very limiting at the end of the day.
Yeah. So what?
should
Should we make this like?
Zemus is a very special card because it is such a powerful effect when it does go off. But
this is a problem with raiding bombs, right?
Like
the bombing
these
effect.
super leaking cards.
Like,
I will say, as much as I hate this card, I'm still going to give it a 3 because I appreciate what it does for the effect and the opportunity that's there. If you ask me if I'm playing it, absolutely not. I might play as a 1-of just for a cheeky, I want to live that dream and the end route, but I'd rather be more focused on ending the game sooner.
Yeah.
If
I'm being honest with myself, it would be that I'd want to live a dream.
Yeah. This is the I have a dream card. Definitely.
The other thing I guess you can say is that you have Red Mage in that deck most presumably, so you can give him haste, so you can play him in Red Mage. But I guess at that point you're spending a lot of CP to get something back from the grave.
I mean, to be honest, if you protect him, he could be pretty decent. So
Earth Lightning?
But
Earth has got a lot of protection.
But Red, if you're an Earth Lightning, why not just play Hashmal and give him haste from the sign of the service done?
I will. What are you talking about?
Stop it.
I'm even mad saying stop it now, Murad. Come on.
No, well, you could.
I love where your heart's at. I'll give you that.
you could reanimate the Scion that brings back a monster and get the monster as well.
Oh wait, no, I can reanimate the Thancred and he can still have haste and go.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so 3.
Yeah, 3.
3.
Alrighty.
Okay.
3, but 3 plus dream.
3 plus dream.
Exactly. 3 plus dream. We got it. I'm on that game.
Okay. Next card, Kevin.
This is the best card of the set.
It is the best card.
So this is the 2 CP backup from 11. He's called Destin, and his job is King. And he reads, the cost required to play card name Clady, or card name Treeon, or card name Puget onto the field is reduced by 1. It cannot become 0.
So tell us something about this, Kevin.
Okay, so the card name Puget is not in the set at all. So the card simply does not exist anywhere. So it could be the best card in the game. Puget is completely broken.
There was a chapter card.
Yeah.
I hope they never print a card name.
Yeah.
Eternal troll.
Just to troll people.
This is a Schrodinger's rating.
I mean, like they already trolled us a lot with this set. Like I thought we were gonna get more Sky Pirates.
Oh yeah.
I thought we were gonna get more Scions other than the starter deck.
Kevin asked me a very interesting question regarding this sort of effect. He asked me, what card name would they have to put on these sorts of backups that you want to play them?
Yeah, because we saw Jesse, which reduces Cloud and Barret.
Yeah, we saw
and
Harley.
Cloud is a really good name.
It's the first card that got banned.
Yeah, and Title
Series.
I guess Cloud is a good name, and Jesse sees no play at all. And Harley is similar. It only references Edward, but it's by 2, so it's a net 2 reduction. This even references 3, so it's like on 3 different cards that you're reducing by. I still don't think it's going to be any good, but the question is interesting. Like, what kind of cards would have to be discounted for a card like this to see play at all?
Yeah.
It just goes down to like you have to draw this first, and I think that because this is searchable by Star Sybil, that it does have you can't play 3 of this and you can't play 3 Star Sybil, so you are more or less likely to can play this first. And then get the value of the other forwards.
It's also a lightning backup.
No, I know. But what I'm trying to say is that if anything was supposed to make these cards you're asking me of, making them playable, is they have to be searchable. And so this one would be in the ballpark.
I feel like
closer.
one of these cards that it lets you play would have to be like, oh, this card would be so busted if just it cost one less. You know.
It's still value though.
Like, well,
Yeah, but is that worth giving a backup slot?
because like if it has no text box, it's worse than an evoker, right?
Yeah.
Or a
True.
summoner,
True.
like way worse.
Oh,
So,
no.
like it's not multi-card. It costs 2 instead of 1.
Yeah, but then like turn 1 is the same if you have this or
Turn 1's the same, but
Yeah.
it's still
Every turn after that.
yeah. Anyway, so
It's a generic what?
I
Two?
what do you think, Ben?
If you can somehow live the dream into nights and find the backup slots for it, I mean, be my guest, but I'm very underwhelmed by it.
Me too.
Again, just the fact, like I'd have to go over all the new 2-drops in Opus 5 kind of side by side as I think about this, but having a 2-drop backup in Lightning was already hard enough. There's probably some extra ones that we gained in this set. That there's just no room for this card unless you're playing a very dedicated tribal Knights 11, whatever that deck looks like, to get hopeful value out of it. That I just, again, still ultimately don't really think it's worth it that much.
Yeah, it's actually even worse because one of the card names it mentions is a backup, so you only ever get that once.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. This gets a 1 from me.
Yeah, I was going to give it a
1.
1.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
1. It's hardly going to be
Sure.
impactful even if
Yeah.
you draw it, right?
Sure, fine, 1. Okay, next card is a monster, 2-cost Bunker Beasts. Job Armadillo. Dull, choose 1 blocking forward, it loses 2,000 power until the end of the turn. This is like Lightning's own goblin from the Earth Goblin that gives plus 2,000 power to one of your forwards. This one is like for like Dull for free.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
reduce the power.
repeatable as well. So like the turn after your Alcid, you can just attack with Alcid alone instead of partying, and then you can trade up to an AK. Obviously they want that, but then that means they can't block either of your 2 forwards. I think it's going to be pretty good for pushing through at least. But
I think definitely on the turn that you're playing this, it's gonna be impactful. But like because it'll be already on the field for like a turn, like your opponent will play around it or like will have answers to it.
Yeah.
No, like if all
Essentially.
your guys are virtually 2,000 power smaller, that's
I'm saying
a lot of power
no.
smaller.
I'm saying like on your turn you would have monster removal and remove it, or you would have like extra power boost, or you would have.
No, not all decks do have
Some
the
sort
luxury
of-
of monster removal though.
That's true. That's true.
This
But like,
is-
but like even in fire, like you would have the selfie, like or you'd have Belial.
No, selfie's only attacking.
Yeah.
And the thing has to be blocking.
yeah, what I think this offers to Lightning is that when you don't have enough removal, when you don't have the luxury of removing like everything your opponents play, you can use your small forwards that have already removed something to try push through damage with Bunker Beast. I'm not sure about how
It goes like
good
with
it
Twilight
is.
Odin as well, right?
Yeah, I guess.
That's the same idea of like damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of scenario.
I still think it's a little too expensive. I know it's just a Dell, but the 2 and the card, it's still expensive for that. You know? Like the actual taking up a card slot in your deck, as well as you paying 2 to play it.
The finding the deck space, like that's hard, but it can like if it's in play,
It can be done, yeah. I know.
like that's. I mean, how often does blocking happen as well? Like I'm trying to think. I usually play decks which don't block that much.
Yeah.
Well, you make sure that they don't block.
Because I
Essentially.
just like the threats are usually I try to control the threats in such a way that I don't need to block them because I have like all these on hit effects and triggers. So
I just can't see a deck that's playing this.
I mean
Very well.
I'm definitely gonna try it. in Opus 5, like because that's if you guys are just 2k smaller. I mean, sure, it's only when they're blocking, so it only helps your attackers. But it's like, if I think about it the other way, if it said, "Dull, choose an attacking forward, give it plus 2,000 power
That'd be
until the
way
end
better.
of the turn," that'd be better, you think?
100%. How much is selfie being used? And you have to pay 2 and Dull for that.
So, but this is like, what's the difference?
I think the argument that we're making here is a backup slot that is going to cost 2, so you're going to be limited to having only 5 backups, versus a monster that not only can you have multiple of them in the field, which I think is a very important thing to note, you can have multiple minus 2,000 effects for free. I personally think that this card is absolutely bonkers in maybe those like fire lightning based decks, because they're so focused on being able to play those cheap things. Like let's think about Vivi, Alcid, Onion Knight, Big D. I mean, we can keep making a list based on those cards. Having just that 2,000 power swing for one of them is going to be impactful in a meaningful way. Having two of these on the field is going to be a complete wall that your opponent's going to have to get over. And heaven forbid the games that you have all three out where it's just going to end at that point.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's a limitation that you can't use it in both ways of combat, but in your more aggressive decks that just need that free, efficient monster to get the effects done, then that's where you want to be. The comparison there to be made is against the fire monster whose name I'm blanking on, but it costs 1 fire and increases damage by 2,000.
Some mech guy.
Yeah. Some mecha lizard. So there's an argument to be made there, but I think the fact that it's free, you can get it down early, and it's going to help you apply the pressure with those forwards that you want to. I think it's worth playing. Again, it's going to be probably limited to those types of decks that are going to be playing, those value-based forwards that are very low in power by comparison. But I think this absolutely has a room somewhere in Opus 5. I'm not 100% sure in what combination, but I definitely look forward to brewing with this card.
Yeah, I think like any forwards that you have that were dead value, just like 6Ks weren't impacting the board before, with this card just suddenly come alive and become really big threats on the attack.
Sounds like this is going to get a lot of its rating in the synergy because it's in those specific decks. And in those decks, do you think you'd have to be asked, well, why aren't you playing Bunker Beast?
No.
Like, do you think you go to a 5?
No.
Like
No.
with the synergy?
No, I don't think so. Like in those decks with the Fire Lightning you're mentioning, I used to be happy just attacking with my VV, and if they blocked, then I'll just play Orlando after main phase 2. But I guess with this one, you can actually win combat, I guess. which is very interesting. Yeah.
Like, when you're using it, it's free, and like the turns that follow on after that, it's like you don't have to spend any CP that turn at all.
But sellers can freeze it.
I guess you can.
Okay, what would you give this card? 2+2?
I'm thinking 3+1.
Yeah, I still think it's fine. Even in a deck that's not going to be super aggressive and things like that, it's still going to be quite impactful if it's in play.
Sure. You good with that, man?
I'm gonna give it a 2+2 because I'm still not confident what deck exactly is going to want it that's going to utilize it the most, because I think it is going to be you're playing this card because the deck works with it, or it's a complete miss for a lot of decks.
I've been highly considering this in my Ice Lightning with like Genesis and Twilight Odin and Lock, like these things you want to block, and then thanks to Mateus as well now coming out, and like this like beast like Cyclops existing, like
yep, I can see it.
Yeah. So that's why I think of it a bit more than bad. Like
in the end, you win the game by attacking.
I've been finding it really hard to find a space. Like, what am I taking out for it? But 2+2, okay,
sure.
Okay.
Okay. Next card, Chris.
So this is Treeon, one of the cards that gets its cost reduced by 1-star card. It's 4-drop, 8,000 power forward from category 11. The job knight other than Treeon you control gain plus 1,000 power.
There's not really much to say about this card. I think we can just gloss over it real quick. In that water lightning knight decks, it can be pretty cool to get everything plus 1,000.
Knights are getting super strong.
With the Ovelia backup as well. So
Ovelia backup, the new Ramza legendary.
Yeah.
Almost.
But this one just seems like
This one is definitely an extra in that deck.
It's not as good as Warrior of Lights buffs.
Knights are like generally stronger than standard units.
No. Warrior of Light cares about what element you are, or whether it's
right. Those
Warrior of Lights.
Yeah, right.
Just give this card a 3 and move on.
3.
Because there's really not much to say.
Yep.
Yeah,
no, I had nothing great to say about it. It's like cool if it's in the Knight stack. Otherwise, it's pretty vanilla. So 3 is fine.
Yep. Let's move on.
Next card, Matt. Do you want to tell us about it?
Wow, just
yeah. just
I'm just
right
going
on
by order.
the bus again. No, it's perfectly fine. I get all the crappy cards. No, it's fine. So is a 2-drop backup, which I think we've hammered home that point enough already. But choose 1 forward, blocking a job class 0 cadet, loses 1,000 power till end of turn. So it's really cool and what it can do with Sice. Yeah, Sice is the one that does the power reduction.
That's right,
It's nice that it's giving a little bit of love to the class 0 cadet. But if I'm remembering my original build and the backups that you want to use, this still isn't going to see play, which is really depressing to admit because they need all the support they can get, and it just feels like a wasted card. I'm not going to spend much more time than that on it.
Yeah.
Yep. So what?
That's not
2?
even a class 0 cadet.
2?
It doesn't even buff size.
2 or 1?
No, I'm giving a straight 1 because I still don't think you're playing it even in that deck.
Yeah, because
Okay,
it's
fair enough.
very specific. It's only in
Fair
cadet
enough.
deck,
Yeah.
and even in the cadet deck, it doesn't pull its own weight.
Yeah, and when you compare it to Bunker Beast,
Yeah,
Bunker Beast in that deck, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Bunker Beast doesn't even care about plus 0. Anyways, yeah, so 1. And next card, Kevin.
Okay, so this is a 2-cost standard unit forward from Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2. It's called Ravager, and its text is Lightning Dull. It choose 1 active forward, deal it 4,000 damage, and it's a 5k power forward. This was actually quite impressive in pre-release.
But that's in pre-release.
Yeah, that's in
survive,
pre-release.
right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it will deal with an actual meta.
I mean, it costs. It costs
You
CP to
were-
do it, and
You,
you got
Kevin, you were
forward,
telling
survive.
us about Zangetsu.
Oh yeah, this is really similar to Zangetsu.
Yeah, this is very similar to Zangetsu, and Zangetsu didn't really see much play.
Mm.
Will this see much play? This is cheaper to play for straight up, and
It's also more conditional because Zangetsu it doesn't have to be active.
that's true.
Mm.
But
I don't like
Yeah.
this
I don't
card.
think.
No,
Card-
card pass.
Yeah.
just the 1.
Just a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
No,
Next-
don't even think about it. Just a 1.
All right.
I love
next
it.
card. Next card. Sorry. It's a 2-drop backup Cannonier standard unit. 1 lightning CP. Dull. Put Cannonier into the break zone. Choose 1 blocking forward. It loses 3,000 power until the end of the turn.
More bunker beasts.
Yeah, they're having they're doubling down on this losing power mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Would you play this 2-cost backup, man?
Okay, so this is one I will actually play. I am
Okay.
going to say that because there are some decks. So admittedly, the one I'm thinking of already is just Fire Lightning 13 because you want a unholy amount of 2-drop backups in that deck, so you can just play 2, if not 3, on your first turn, get them down, then curve out with 3 drops for the rest of the game. And because they are a little bit lacking in power, this is absolutely the backup that you want to see and have as a utility backup. 3,000 power swing is still a huge amount in this game, and it can be something that your opponent just eventually has to deal with. So I like this card in the sense that as we think about Oracle, it's your opponent's going to put you in a position where you have to use it, and it's still going to be favorable for you. And I think Cannonier is very much the same way. Yes, it's going to be tough to make room for this in the decks, but it is one card that I'm very strongly considering.
It breaks
Again,
itself.
in Fire.
That helps.
Exactly. So you can play multiple of them. It can freeze you up later on, and it has that flexibility that you want. And it's cheap for the effect for what it does.
It's also a Tactics Advance 2 character, which means if you're in that Wind Lightning aggressive style,
You can pick it up.
it can be hit by, is it called Luso,
Yes.
the wind guy?
The one that says cool.
Yeah. So it's just
Exactly.
you want a density of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 cards in your deck.
Yeah,
So
and
that
that'll be pretty cool.
And 3k is quite a lot larger than 2 because 2k often will be just enough to match your opponent's forward. 3k a lot of times will get your forward over.
Well, 3k is an entire power level of of a one drop.
Yeah.
Right? it's actually a forward at once we start the curve.
Yeah.
So, like, it's still just a 3 though, right? Just 3.
Yeah, it's just a solid card. It can't really be amazing.
It reminds me a lot of Monk.
Oh yeah.
The Earth Monk
Monk.
that gives a buff in terms of from your opponent's point of view having to consider.
And that's
Ah,
in, like,
yeah, that's
it being
true.
out.
That's in, like, every
terms
Earth
That's
yeah.
true. I guess that one is 1 more CP more and you get Brave.
No, not that Monk. The one that costs this amount as well and gives I think plus 2,000 power.
Plus
to
2,000.
forward.
Yeah.
It
So it's
reminds
plus-
like this similar play style, play pattern. I imagine coming up where your opponent's like,
No, the difference with that is that Monk doesn't break
So
itself.
it does break.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so, but it's still a 3, yeah?
I'm fine with the 3. I want to be a little bit greedy and give it 3+1 because I know exactly what I want to play it in, but I think generally it's a 3.
I think if the way I feel about 3 and 4 is like 4 is if you're really considering it in a deck, it should get a 4 somehow. Like so,
But it
usually
doesn't
via
have any synergy.
right? Well, it has synergy with the idea of the whole deck, right? Like
talk about the Final
synergy
Fantasy Tactics Advance
isn't
too.
just a specific card that you're thinking it goes with. It could be an entire play style. like with Bunker Beast.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm not splitting hairs. 3+1.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with that too.
Sure.
Wait,
Let's
wait,
move on.
2. Oh, 3+1.
Yeah,
I thought you
as
said
well.
2.
No,
Like,
no,
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 now you're changing your thing.
no.
That was 2.
No, 2 is in as well.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, you want to tell us about this?
It's a 2-drop Dark Knight. It's a forward standard unit with 4,000 power, and it has lightning, deal 1,000 damage to all the forward's opponent controls, and 2,000 damage to Dark Knight.
Finally, a board wipe and lightning. You only have to discard your entire hand.
This takes me back. When I started playing the game, I played the Ice Dark Knight that has ice.
Yeah. That you can just discard your whole hand.
That's how I'd break through when I started the game. I just stockpile my hand and then suddenly do like 7,000 damage, 8,000. I can't remember how it could go. Like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could do up to 9,000 damage. And this is really similar.
It's funny how like you can keep on stacking this before the Dark Knight dies.
Yeah. You can just keep responding to your own triggers eventually. Just wipe the board.
I really like
7
this
or
card
8K.
existing because it's just common, right? Yeah, it's just common. And so for players just getting into the game before they've spent a lot of money or anything, it's just, like if you need to wipe a board, like you just need that in your deck, then you have access to it. And it worked fine for me. I mean, when I was using the Ice version.
Back when Opus 1 days.
Yeah, back in Opus 1. I mean, we're in Opus 5 now. But still, it was serviceable.
Yeah.
It did the job. Like,
What do you reckon, Matt?
I guess we'll give it the credit that yes, you can respond to the triggers and have a little bit of fun with it. But I think for what you're going to be playing in a lot of your decks, it's just not going to get a slot for me.
Yeah, definitely, it's not going to go into a competitive.
No,
meta
yeah,
deck.
I don't think it's for like a serious consideration.
So just one.
I don't think it's a 1.
I want to give it a 2.
Yeah,
like
because-
I will give it that because of the ceiling that the card has.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's obviously lackluster, but the ceiling there is insane.
Sure.
Yeah.
2 plus 0. Next card, Matt. You want to tell us about this card?
Yes, and I will probably be getting a lot of hate for this one, but damn it, I think that this is a fantastic card. 2-drop Lightning has haste.
I love
No,
it too.
there.
I love it.
2-drop haste, 5k lightning, and at the end of your turn, return lightning to its owner's hand. Now, this one, I'm going to give it a throwback to Kaijudo, which, yes, fundamentally is a little bit of a different game, but we have to keep in consideration how that reacts with other cards we have. So there was a card called Gilliflame that was a 4-drop that bounced your hand every turn, but it had haste, had decent stats, and it wasn't a bad card to play at that time. I think Lightning offers the ability to have that same kind of sweet spot. And what I love particularly about this is that it gets you for that early couple points of damage, and then later on you're going to be using the SFX for like 5-drop lightning. So again, I am probably incredibly biased because I know exactly what deck I want to build already and kind of the direction it wants to be going in. So I absolutely love this card, and I'm just going to give it a 3+1 right off the bat.
I agree with you there. I
know where this is going to be.
Because a lot of times when I get like Tifa Haste played against me, it just sits on the board, does nothing, and just dies for free later on.
I wonder who does that.
Yeah. So like with Lightning, you get to get the damage in and not have it committed to the board, so it's back in your hand. But if your opponent doesn't play a blocker, you can just haste it again. So they still
it forces your opponent to still play a blocker.
Yeah. So it's
exactly
it's as good, if not better, than Haste Tifa, because you get the resources back. It's not as committal.
This mechanic is in every card game ever, and the kind of haste forward that comes back to your hand.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it's either really good or doesn't do anything. And I've been really like, where's it gonna fit in this game?
I want to talk about some of the synergies. So Kefka, you can have Kefka on the field, play this, and threaten to be a 10k attacker.
Yep.
At that point, and we'll get back to your hand before it breaks.
Or you can break it first. It's up to you.
It's up to you. It's player turn priority.
Yeah.
But the other thing I wanted to say is that it's actually very, very strong. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed this, but it's very, very strong to have a cheap version of a very influential card, like Cloud, like Lightning, like
with an
Terra.
S, you mean, right?
Yeah, with an S.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and the reason for that is Asura. You can play this in a Lightning Wind deck, right? And you can play this Lightning, it dies, you S it, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? And late game, right? If you want to S your lightning, just Asura it back to your hand.
I
So it has a lot of synergies, and I think it'll be played, and I think it'll be strong.
I love the Legend Lightning from Opus 4 as well, the 5-drop one. But when I'm trying to look at other lightnings I'd want to play, like before Opus 5 came along,
It was hard.
I was like none of them actually go in the same play style. Like apart from the 4-drop, but I don't want to play the 4-drop
Because it stays on the field and like what?
It's too much. The 4-drop for
and
it's
this is
too
perfect
small.
being called lightning because you want to play more lightnings because all the lightnings have like really nice S's that you want to use. But if you play any of one of them, you're kind of locked out of the other one. So this is perfect S fodder, I think.
Yeah.
That you can
Okay,
just
so
play early.
3+1.
3+1 is
do you agree?
definitely.
3 plus 1 for me, like I said.
Definitely. Okay. Next card, Kevin. Do you want to tell us what this cute little guy is?
Okay. So this guy is the 1-cost remove summon from Theatrhythm. He's an EX burst, and he reads choose 1 damage forward, deal it 7,000 damage. Now, I know exactly where this card is going.
Where's it going?
This is in my Palom Ramza combo deck.
Oh, that's right.
Fire Lightning. But
If you guys have, we should actually make a dual series.
oh,
on
maybe.
that. Like the combo potential is huge
but
when you
like,
finally get it off.
This is well, like this is just strong. One cost summon for 7,000 damage.
It is fair to note that it's not really gonna EX burst.
Yeah.
You know, like you're not really gonna have it damage forward and attack.
I mean,
That's why it has EX burst.
Yeah.
Because it's completely fine to.
because it'd be fine to
It's why Sidol
just-
Sign has EX burst.
It's just like
doesn't
putting
really
EX burst on
happen.
cards that can't really.
I
EX
mean,
burst.
Yeah.
maybe you cast the Valifor, the starter one, in your opponent's attack step, and then hit 3 removes after
Oh,
the EX.
yeah.
Maybe no, but I think this is definitely the EX is often not gonna go off unless you're like chumping something and then letting something else get through.
It'll be
and you
cool
can
with
kill-
them, the Fasoi deck.
Yeah, I guess.
If you want to do something more than 7,000.
If you want to deal something 14,000.
Like 7,000 is used like sometimes not the threshold.
You play Kuchulain with that though.
Yeah.
But like things with Lightning has some really small pings,
Okay.
just like 1k or 2k, and then this will just finish it off up to 8ks. So because this is only going to be used on 8ks because you can't have the damage 7. Well, you can, I guess, but it can kill up to 8ks. So I think that's a really relevant thing. Obviously not against water, but I think it's going to be a pretty good summon.
If we're talking about like the summons that we were just saying how we couldn't put all the Odins in, can we find space for this?
That's true.
I was just about to bring up.
Yeah.
the
It is
summon
competing
space.
for a lot.
Yeah, so that's why I'm probably not gonna see.
Just
much
wait till
of
we
it.
get a remove that's like Shiva. Like all the removes.
Oh,
that we
actually, I
create.
really love the new effort. The new effort is really cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, Matt, what do you reckon?
It is a very awkward EX burst. I think we all can agree on that. And I'm of the mindset that it goes in a very specific deck and has very, very limited but very strong potential for a card. And I personally love all the Theta Rhythm artwork. I get a lot of flack for that as well. Probably because I've just been playing through the game recently.
It's amazing.
I want
Really
to play
cute.
through rhythm. I want to play a rhythm game recently. What's it on again?
It is fun. I will say that. But I think I'm going to give it a solid 2 for where it wants to be.
Yeah,
I think it's fine for some of those decks that want to have it. I think there's, Minmu is still obviously a card, and I don't mean to make the Doomblade argument here of sorts for it, but I think we have to be very conscious of other effects like obviously Water Cecil and what have you, that we have a lot of ways and a lot of popular ways that are going to be getting around dealing damage to damage forwards or having forwards be damaged in the first place. So you still have to be mindful of other cards that you want to have. I always put much higher rating on anything that does power reduction over dealing that damage. So
And
I
the
think
creators
it
do
will.
that as well. the creators factor that in a lot as well. In
Yeah,
terms of
so
the-
solid 2 for me.
What do you guys reckon? The same?
I reckon we can give it a +1 because definitely in the decks that do center around damage, like Wind Lightning or Fire Lightning, maybe. Then
I agree
this
with
is
Kevin
going to
that we
be.
can put in
Yeah,
a bit
agree,
of
Kevin?
synergy. I think it'd be a 3 in those decks.
Okay, I'm still at 2+0, but we'll make it 2+1. It's fine. Okay. Next card, Matt. You do the second legendary.
Yeah.
I'm glad I get the redemption factor finally for cards because I think Ramza is absolutely nuts. And I know a lot of people are kind of
No, what does
off-put by
it
the
do?
fact
What does it do?
What does it
okay,
do?
fine. It is a lot of text. All right. So Ramza is a 6-drop. Of course, it's going to be a knight as well because why not?
Mm-hmm.
6,000 power. The cost to play it is reduced to the field by 1 for each forward you control. Hint, hint, we're going to talk about that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
For each forward you control other than Ramza, gains plus 1,000 power. And the good old tax, if it has higher than 10k, when it attacks, you get to choose a forward of cost 3 or less your opponent controls and breaks it. So up front, we need to acknowledge the fact that, yes, it does have a high power and high cost, but realistically, this might as well be a 4-drop 8k for the types of decks that are going to be playing it. And guess what? In a lot of cases, it's going to be even cheaper. And it's not hard when you have that plus 1,000 power backup to make it a 10k. So all around, I think that this card is just... I think it's an absolutely fine card by itself, and then you put in the Knights deck, and it's even more insane for all the value that they can generate. So Ramza is definitely the card that if I'm in Lightning and if I'm trying to brew something new, Ramza is absolutely my brewer's pick for the Lightning element. So I will give it that.
So that sounds like a 4+1 for me.
Yeah, it is 100% a 4+1 for me.
Yeah, I would agree so too, but we haven't even scratched the surface of this card. Like, honestly, there's so many things. Like, okay, so for me, I'm a potato player. I'm an earth player. And, like, I'm willing to play this even in a deck that doesn't swarm. Because in earth, you can just pump it up to 10k very easily.
You only need 2 forwards for it to be a 4+8.
Yeah, exactly. Or even then, like in earth, there's like so many ways to pump up your forwards. And you can just pump this up to 10k and just attack and get a free break. Like for nothing, you know?
Yeah, there are so many ways you can get it to 10k
So,
power,
like-
and all of the ways you'll decide to get it to 10k power will define your deck.
That's right,
It's going to
that's
be
right.
really cool brewing
That's right.
around the
I
room,
think, like, straight off the bat, it can fit in Mono Lightning, it can fit in Lightning Water Knight, and it can fit in Lightning Earth. Just straight off the bat.
I have to keep reminding myself that his cost can't become 0 because when I asked that question at the pre-release, the person who described the card to me, he said it can become 0.
Oh, okay.
And so in my mind I was like, whoa, you can play it like a Water Wind spam the board deck. And then just like, boom, Ramza. Yeah.
I would play this in a Water Wind spam the board deck.
Yeah, but you need to make lightning somehow.
It's funny.
Odin 7.
It's funny, I was like, wow, this is an amazing Star Sybil 6-drop to both. No, wait, no, it's not.
It's actually funny because it can't be high costed and high powered at the same time.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting because in that regard, I feel like there's going to be a lot more 5-drop and more hate. And so...
No, you think of Guido.
No, Diablos. Diablos is the big
I was thinking of Diablos.
Stop it.
Winter and Alexander. Even better. And so, like, even though this... Even if you play this for 4, even if you play this for 2, it still dies to Diablos.
Yeah, but Diablos cost a lot if they're not activating backups as their second
I'm just putting it out there. I think the meta is shifting more towards higher costed. Just because of the new camel knot and everything.
Which I'm glad, because Win has been struggling a bit.
I haven't thought about that enough.
It's just my quick prediction, so to say.
So 4+1
4+1, I think is very fair.
Sweet.
Next card, Chris, do you want to tell us?
Yeah, it's a Dragoon. So it costs 3, it's a multi-card icon, 7,000 power, Dragoon gains first strike until end of turn by paying 1 lightning. So very vanilla Dragoon.
2+1, let's move on.
Well, like...
the +1 is the Dragoon and
obviously. You just put this in a Dragoon deck, nothing else.
Yeah, nothing to say, man.
I don't know about the other Dragoons. This is still just...
Yeah. Any comments, Matt?
Yeah, nothing. No, I don't want to touch this one.
Let's move on.
Yeah. This next card, I have to say, because it was our spoiler. That's why I gave you the Ramza. I traded the Ramza for this one. It was worth it. It's the 3-drop lightning backup. Luisa. And when Luisa enters the field, you may search one card named LSA or card named Alpha Node and add it to your hand. It's funny when we were talking about this card, we didn't know what Alpha Node was. But he's in lightning. He wasn't in Earth like how we expected it would be. This is strictly better than the Wedge and the other Agito backup that searches other Agito backups. This can search 2 other backups, one of them 4, one of them 2, and it's like way more consistency in that deck.
Yeah, this definitely just curves you out perfectly. You play your backup turn 1, play this turn 2, and then you can
play Alpha Node and then
turn 3.
play and then LSA 3/3.
I guess you can even do that. Yeah,
like you got 4 backups and everything else. You're gonna spam the board with forwards.
Yeah, this is I think the strongest searcher that searches backups, but you know it's still
It's
not
very
much to talk
specific,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, let's just move
So
on.
just what 3?
Yeah.
But do you have anything to say about it, Matt?
No, it's a solid 3. I mean, really, the next 3 cards all go together, right? I mean, that's kind
That's
of
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
for how they are.
That's true. So Kevin, do you want to tell us about this one?
So the next card is Alize. She's a 4-cost Scion backup from Final Fantasy XIV, and she reads: if you control card name Alphadon, the cost for playing Alize onto the field is reduced by 1, and the job Scion of the 7th Dawn forwards you control gain haste.
Haste is really powerful to just get for no additional CP investment on the turn you're playing the haste forward.
Especially since 2 of the Scion forwards, Ida and Thancred, just really want to attack immediately.
I think I want to like rate Alice and Alphanaut together.
You can play this.
Yeah, I think Alice is definitely playable without
Okay.
Alphanaut. Although you would just put Alphanaut in because of the Scion synergy, but the Scions all just come together. So should we just like rate the next cards as well?
Okay, sure.
So we,
What does Lael say? You would still give it a 3. Yeah?
All right.
I would give it a 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Matt, what do you reckon?
I give them all a blanket 3. Is kind of what I'm putting them at.
I would give Alphanaut 2.
I'd actually give this LSA a 4.
No, split table.
Because like you're obviously not playing it without the Scion, so I don't think we go for synergy on it. And if my opponent's got this in their backup line, it's like, oh god. Like they're just
Imagine if they have a hash mal in their
hard. Yeah, Thancred getting haste is really huge, and that's a big part of this thing. Being able to go faced immediately after you play him. Ida is really powerful as well because it's a really cheap one that will punish your dull things. It's definitely going to be hard playing against this card.
Yeah.
I don't think... this is like 3.5, I think.
So, yeah, I think we'll just give...
Wait, so is the consensus still 3 at the moment?
Yeah,
I mean, just,
I would
okay,
say
let's go with 3.
Yeah, let's give 3.
Yeah.
And Alphanaut is a 2-cost lightning backup. Scion the 7th Dawn backup. Lightning, Dull, choose 1 active forward, deal 1000 damage. If you control job, Scion the 7th Dawn, deal 2000 damage instead. It's okay. I would still just I'll give this one a 2, to be honest, because like even in the Scion deck, you can even find synergies in your Scion deck.
Alphanaut is definitely
Yeah.
not
Underwhelming.
bad. Yeah, he's underwhelming.
You agree with that, Matt? Or
I mean, that's fair. I just like the ping effect being 2000, and I love tribal themes. So when I go tribal, I go hard. But yeah, no, it is pretty lackluster if we consider the other backups that we have and what the cost ratios are for those slots. So I definitely get it. And it's one of those things that because of the I'm going to loosely say synergy here because it's going to all go in the same Scion deck. Obviously, could be replaced by other effects, but I think that there might be cards in the future that could reference it or have other effects with it. So fingers crossed, maybe there'll be something down the road that we see more of.
Hopefully, we just get a forward version of him that replaces this.
Exactly.
And Chris, what do you want to tell us about the next card?
It's not in English.
Right. So yeah, on my.
Fine, Kevin, you do.
All right. Okay. So this is the 2-cost Scion forward, Urianger.
It's Urianger. Okay.
Yeah, 14 as well. And he reads, when Urianger enters the field, choose a monster in your break zone. If the cost is equal to or less than the number of Scion forwards you control, you may return it to the field. And I think this one is honestly just playable on its own outside of the Scion deck. Because there are lots of like 1-drop monsters that just
Getting back flander.
Yeah, he just counts himself, so that's decent. And in a Scion deck, you have potential to get a 4-cost monster back, obviously.
Twilight Odin.
Obviously, that's going to be a bit of a stretch, but even just getting 2-cost monsters like
a Bunker Beast.
Bunker Beast, and I think specifically Black Knight, just being able to reanimate Black Knight infinitely and just hate on all your opponents.
Actually, the Black Knight will be lots of value.
Yeah, because eventually your opponent runs out of good plays to play into Black Knight, because you can't just play 1-drops for it.
This is part of that idea of you sculpt the game around making Black Knight good, right?
I think this is definitely 3+1.
Yeah.
I want to play this card.
Yeah,
I see it. I was like, I'm excited about all the possibilities I could.
Matt, do you agree? Or you have anything to add?
So, yeah, I was going to be cheeky and say that it's a 5 in the Black Knight decks, but it very much again speaks to kind of the control player, because literally no one is excited by the 2000 power. Let's be honest. It's just about what are you getting back? What are the value that you're getting? And at the idea of being able to get back Black Knight, have this guy, and they're going to lose whatever their fort is they play next, you're basically blinding yourself up to guarantee a point of damage in the mid to late game. So for that, I think it's absolutely insane. And I want to play Black Knight, 3-4 turns in a row. And that's all it's going to be. You're either getting in damage or your opponent's sacrificing it forward to get rid of Black Knight, and then you bring it back again. So I think the card's absolutely bonkers, and what it wants to be doing in that regard. Sure that there's other monsters you can still get value for, but I think 3+1 is the more honest and realistic rating for him for the Opus 5.
Okay.
I'd actually have that 1 point higher on both sides. I would actually go to the 5 for the synergy.
4+1?
Because I can definitely see
wait,
it being a worthy
3+2.
question.
3+2.
It's like saying to someone who's got all the support for this card, but this card not being in the deck, saying, why isn't this in the deck?
Yeah.
Fine, we'll give it 3+2. We'll give it 3+2. You can see that.
Yeah,
You can see that.
definitely.
If you put it that way.
Black Knights are gonna be straight oppressive if you get it off enough. And since it's just 2k, you can just like kill it yourself if you need to.
Yeah, and the 2k, we were saying before that it getting haste is probably irrelevant.
Alpha can
hang on. Like we're saying the 2k getting haste from the back is probably irrelevant. But if it's the Black Knight thing that you're recurring, and they've already don't have a block on that turn because it's dull, they don't have forwards at all. 2k, I mean, doesn't matter how big it is, it does a damage.
It does a damage.
And then,
even if they have
there's
one
a Black
thing,
Knight in play.
Yeah,
so
even
now,
if they have one thing, if you attack with this guy, do they block? Because you just get another Black Knight if you kill him. So yeah, maybe.
And then you play remove.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna go really deep on this one. We're gonna play Zemus. We're gonna
Yes.
We're gonna play your
Zemus.
Ranger. And we're gonna play a ping effect, so you
Yeah.
can loop Black Knight every single turn.
Yeah.
We
did it.
Let's do it.
The deck makes it.
And then your opponent plays 5-drop.
Like what happened to me in the pre-release. No. I just love that he said to me, "Oh, that's so annoying," and then played Van. Like, all things Legend Van in a pre-release. I was just like, what do I do?
Anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. Please thank our guest, Matt Cosmer from 6 Ages
Thank you.
Gaming. Where can they find you, Matt?
Yep. You guys can find me at 6 Ages Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, and now Twitch, streaming every night for a couple hours. So any of those mediums, if you guys want to join me, we are going to do Final Fantasy content Mondays. I'm trying to convince either Rice or myself if I find time to do some Octagon matches with the community. So we're going to be trying doing more stuff on Twitch and more community-based involvement than say strictly YouTube. So we're going to be doing some good stuff.
That is so cool that you're doing that. We don't have it yet for the FFTCG, and it's actually a really cool thing that you're doing that. So everyone go subscribe to Twitch Prime. I don't know how that works for us. So
yeah, well, I'll be affiliate by the end of the week. So if you guys have an Amazon account, and it is free to give someone a subscription if you have Amazon Prime, so I will take all those. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Sweet.
Anyways, do I want to say bye?
Yeah, thanks for listening.
See ya.
Yep, have a good one.
Number one potato boss out.